and welcome to Overlanders Then and Now. I'm Tom Bingle, here with my friend and co-host, Jim King. Hey, Doc.
Hey, thanks. So, what's on the agenda today?
Today we're going to look back on the first major step of our journey, the flight from your hometown, Cleveland's John Hopkins International Airport, to New York City on our way to our first European destination, London. God, do you remember any first impressions of the Big Apple, Jim?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the city was so much different back then than it is now. It was grittier, sleazier,
Mhm.
more dangerous. I remember being excited to take it all in, except for maybe getting shot by Son of Sam or, getting mugged at Times Square. But yeah, I remember thinking that compared to Cleveland, certainly Toledo or even Chicago, it
Yeah.
was unbelievably big. Second city for Chicago doesn't quite capture how small it is in comparison. So, what were your impressions?
Jimmy, just the pace of life, was so different, so much, all the different languages, the internationalism, the diversity. And Jim, it was interesting. I thought of it as good training,
Hmm.
for what was to come. I thought, which is exploring European cities. I thought if we could handle New York City, hey, so looking back on it, Doc, what stays with you? How did that one day in New York affect your life, if at all?
Well, it definitely did. It was a small taste of what city life could be like, and I think I realized then, although I wasn't quite sold on New York, that I was more of a city boy, and if I ever did become a writer, I'd probably live in a
Interesting.
city versus a cabin, somewhere in the woods. So, there are so many writers I admire who lived
Yeah.
or live in New York, and I thought it'd be cool to live there. But
Yeah.
and little did I know, after a long circuitous route, that I'd eventually end up in Connecticut, just a short train ride from Grand Central Station. So, and I love today going into the city.
Hmm.
It's just so much different today, so much
Yeah,
more
fascinating.
livable. What about you? What are your
Well,
impressions?
the New York that time, Jim, gave me confidence about approaching, okay, how these other cities that we're going to be heading into. And then Jimmy, I'll never forget just that time in New York. These great images that I have we're on the United Airlines, obviously flying in, but then we're taking the Pan Am 101 from
Right.
JFK to London. And Jimmy, we walk up on the tarmac, we walk up the stairs, and there we shook hands. And Jim and I said, you know what? We're doing it. We're just doing it. And Jim, I think the hardest step was that step into the cabin, or put it this way, maybe a better way to say that is the big step, and it just showed me, the following through on a decision, the importance of committing and staying with it. And, you can always change course if needed, but you don't know, Jimmy, if you don't try.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. And I know I interrupted you, but I know you were an avid journal keeper. And as we were preparing for this video, you read something to me from your journal that I think our fans, both of them, would enjoy. So, would you mind
Jimmy.
reading from it? You got
Oh,
it
I
there,
won't
right?
mind, Jimmy. Here we
Okay,
go.
go for it.
The hardest step, the big step of leaving America has been taken. It was up to us to live, to enjoy, to feast, to soak in, to absorb, to grab, to live the European experience. Jimmy, what a feeling of euphoria. A feeling that is one of the hardest and the most difficult to overcome. That of traveling and not knowing what comes ahead, but nothing but pure excitement. Wow, Doc, you also kept a journal until someone stole it from you in the middle of the desert. Did you record any New York City impressions, Jim?
I do remember writing about and by the way, I'm not going to be able to top your journal entry there or your delivery, but I do remember writing about the ride on the Kerry bus from Midtown, I think at Grand Central, to JFK, and seeing miles and miles of cemeteries. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. It was like a city in itself,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
big, And I suppose that's not a great thing to dwell on as you prepare for an overseas flight, but I do remember writing about that.
Well, hopefully, Jim, your thoughts will be a little cheerier when we finally reach England. We'll be writing and talking about that in our next blog. So, again, thank you for joining us. And until next time,
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.
Uh, Almost, Binks. Almost.